So in the Western Conference, at least, we know which teams are going to be in the play-in tournament. We're going to have the Spurs versus the Pelicans. We're going to have the Clippers versus the Timberwolves. Obviously, the play-in tournament is really interesting since the Spurs and the Pelicans have to win 2 games to make the playoffs, whereas the Clippers and the Wolves only have to win 1. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing who I think will win the matchup of the Spurs versus the Pelicans in the play-in game. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does on my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal of 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. So the way this is going to work is the Pelicans and the Spurs are going to play each other, the game we're talking about today. Then whoever wins is going to face whoever loses the Clippers versus Timberwolves matchup. And to start the video off, I'm going to just talk about the Pelicans side and how they could possibly win. First of all, Pelicans have actually been one of the more warm teams in the league as of late, as they're 12-8 in their last 20 games, which is pretty good considering that they're top A seed in the Western Conference. I think the Pelicans have an advantage. Definitely has to be the fact that they have a lot of momentum, and also the Pelicans are just straight up the more talented team than the Spurs. Yes, the Spurs have nice players. I'm not calling them trash. They have guys like DeJounte Murray, who is an all-star, Keldon Johnson, who has been going crazy as of late, and others. But when it comes to straight up star power, the Pelicans definitely win that matchup. They have Brandon Ingram, who's a top 30 player in the league. CJ McCollum, who's a top 30 player in the league. Those guys are guys who can get you buckets at will at any time. Those guys can consistently give you, I wouldn't even be surprised if either of those guys dropped 30 points and just went absolutely off. Then they have surrounding players like Jonas Valanciunas, who's definitely capable of going off for 20 points. Great role players like Herbert Jones, who's one of the best defenders in the league just as a rookie, and I think he'd do a solid job on DeJounte Murray. In this game, I could see a guy like CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, or Jonas Valanciunas going off for a huge game. That's not something I could rely on with the Spurs. They just don't have as much talent as the Pelicans. Also, the Pelicans over the course of the year has been ranked as one of the worst offenses and defenses in the league, and actually worse than the Spurs. But if we're being honest, it's not by that big of a margin, and our offense has been way better since getting CJ McCollum. If the Pelicans are going to win this game, it's going to be because they just have more star power on their roster, more big time players, and I also just feel like there's more veterans on this team, and guys such as CJ McCollum, Valanciunas, Devontae Graham, Larry Nance, Tony Snell. So the Pelicans definitely have a really good chance to win this game. To talk about the Spurs' chance of winning the game, I think the biggest thing that's in favor of the Spurs is their coaching. They're one of the better coach teams in the league just because they have Greg Popovich as their coach. They're a team that isn't as talented as New Orleans. They don't have much big-time players, but if someone's going to make a perfect game plan to lock down the Pelicans just for one game and a perfect offensive plan to attack their weaknesses, it is going to be Greg Popovich and the Spurs. Spurs have a lot of guys who are maybe not capable as big of a game as some of the guys on the Pelicans, but there's still guys who can go off, such as DeJounte Murray, who's an all-star, Keldon Johnson, who's been really good this year. Josh Richardson's a guy who has had games where he cannot miss from 3, so can Doug McDermott. Josh Primo as a rookie has been looking nicer as of late. In my opinion, if the Spurs are going to win this game, it's going to be because Greg Popovich was out coaching the Pelicans just by far. And to give the Spurs credit, they have been better as of late. They don't look like a terrible team like they did earlier in the season, even though they're not that amazing. They're 11 games below 500, but the Spurs have been really high as of late. They're 11-4 in their last 15 games, so I have to give them some credit there. So we're being honest, I really expect them to keep playing the hot brand of basketball that they've been playing. Also, I gotta quickly talk about Keldon Johnson, who's been going crazy in his last few games, having multiple 20-point games, look like an all-star level guy. So you could hope that he could continue to play at that level into this game. But as I said, if the Spurs Spurs win this game, Greg Popovich is going to have his hands all over it. But to now answer the question of who I think will win this play-in tournament game, I think I'm going to have to go with the New Orleans Pelicans, because the Pelicans are a team that I think has more experience in this type of situation, way more guys with playoff experience. They're also a team that has more guys who are capable of going off for a big game. Yes, the Spurs are the better defensive team, but I do think the Pelicans are a better offensive team, and I don't think there's a huge gap between their defense. Yes, the Spurs will probably have a better game plan, but I think the talent difference will just outrule the Spurs. Don't get it twisted. I don't think there's going to be a blowout or something, because San Antonio has actually beat some teams that I didn't think they would be able to beat. So I think this would be a pretty close and interesting matchup. But at the end of the day, I think the talent and star power of the Pelicans will overtake the Spurs. But regardless, neither of these teams are really that good. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know who you think is going to win. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, winners will go over 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro.